Benedetta! Viens à moi!
J'arrive, Seigneur. J'arrive.
On ne comprend pas toujours les instruments de Dieu.
Prenez-moi!
Un couvent n'est pas un lieu de charité, cher enfant.
Pourquoi tu es là? Dieu te parlera dans beaucoup de langues. Ça m'effraie.
Benedetta, viens à moi.
Oh, quelle douleur!
Jésus-Christ a choisi notre bienheureuse sœur, Benedetta.
Santa Benedetta.
Benedetta.
Vous avez un doute?
La fille était au lit. Aucun miracle ne se produit dans un lit, croyez-moi.
Benedetta nous dupe.
Tout cela est déjà allé assez loin. Nous
Vous
devons
voulez
vraiment...
nous attirer les foudres du ciel?
Tu es une fille intelligente. Mais intelligente, ça peut être dangereux, ma petite.
C'est un signe de Dieu, un avertissement. La peste va s'abattre sur Pécha! Jésus!
Je sais pas comment Dieu fait arriver ça. Je sais seulement qu'il accomplit sa volonté à travers nous. N'ayez crainte. La comète est le signe que le Seigneur nous protège.
Mais Dieu n'est contraint par aucune loi écrite.
La fin est proche!
Jouer avec moi, c'est jouer avec le feu.
Je ne te désire que pour Dieu.
Alors, ce menteuse! Regarde!
Tu crois toujours bon, après tout ce dont tu étais témoin?
Okay, this is movie night extravaganza. I'm just gonna go right in with the intros. Talking about Benedetta tonight, completely nuts movie. I am joined, as always, by J. Andrew World. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce your name there.
The Merovingian, the actor who played the Merovingians in this.
All right.
Yeah, you know, from the Matrix sequels.
Yeah, I don't know, you know. Still not going to try to pronounce it. Also joined by Protonic Reversal and Conan Neutron, the Secret Friends. You know, just off of Caterwall, and took a little break after that. You know, just had a new episode of Protonic Reversal out yesterday. Conan Neutron, how's it going?
Much better, much better. I'm not taking the bait and asking about whatever the heck Annie was on about. So there you go. We're doing okay.
Yeah. All right. Sounds like you're coming in strong.
I'm very excited to talk about this film.
Not taking the bait and just.
I'm very excited to talk about this film. I liked it quite a bit. I was shocked it didn't get any attention whatsoever from the Oscars because I thought it was a really good one.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm happy that we decided to talk about it because I hadn't seen it yet, and I feel like everyone else had, and I love Verhoeven, but it just, you know, a 2 hour and 19-minute movie about lesbian nuns. I was like, I don't know, unless I'm doing it for this show, I don't know if I can, like, my ADHD will let me sit through that.
But it's also a pretty scathing indictment of organized religion as well. So that's, you know, like there's more to it than just that. Everyone got hung up on the sexy nun parts, like the nunsploitation bit of it, and that is a piece of it. But I think that there's a lot more to this than that.
I mean, if you
we
want
need
to
to
watch,
bring Kristina in.
Yes.
She's on the margin. She's outside of the convent. We need to bring her into the convent. Kristina Oakes. I'm Kristina on Twitch. You know, the bisexual nun queen.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to become a nun, there's no way in hell I'm not having a lesbian affair. I mean, come on.
You're just gonna let me go into this nunnery and not let me have some kind of lesbian affair over here?
I mean, seriously, what do you expect? Sexually repressed women are going to do shit. Like in the I don't care. I don't believe that these women are celibate.
Coming on strong with that, and Conan, what I was saying about lesbian nun part is that's like the description, right? It leads with that. Like you don't want to really know any spoilers about a movie, so like you check out like what the movie's about, and that's like all the descriptions of it led with. So what I was saying is like I was like, unless I do it for this, I'm not necessarily gonna. You're muted.
That's the delivery system for sure. Like it's not like it's some secret thing or anything along those lines. It's like all over it. But like it's just, I just think like many
it's all over
movies,
it, all right.
I feel like most Verhoeven movies, it's a lot more interesting and has many layers and depth that people maybe wouldn't necessarily think of if they just thought of it as a nunsploitation sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not nude nuns with big guns. This is which actually Paul Verhoeven would make a great.
Well, yeah, because they didn't really have guns yet, right? Like they're in a time period where
they'd have like crossbows, I guess. I don't know what they'd have.
Swords?
Quite rhyme though.
Trojan horses?
But this is the second Plague movie I watched this year. The last one ended with Sean Bean becoming a plague bomb after he gets drawn and quartered. So
we kind of lived through one too. Like life's been kind of a plague movie for the last couple years, and this kind of makes it. I'd assume that this movie was being written like long before COVID hit, but like in all of the clips that I'll play at Cannes when they're like talking about it when the film was released, which is nice, by the way, right? Like Kansas and France, like they probably didn't have to go far to be there, but they're all in their masks. They take the mask off to like talk into the microphone and stuff.
It's weirdly prescient because the whole thing is they don't want to get the plague, right? So it's sort of like, well, we're dealing with the plague right now, and it's interesting that like it was already kind of rolling before COVID was ever a thing, and just happened to be like of its time almost accidentally.
Yeah, and the book that this was based on came out in 1986, so it's been in the zeitgeist for a while.
Because she was a real person.
Yeah, no, it's based on the book Immodest Acts, the life of lesbian nuns in Renaissance Italy.
I'll say
based off of the book Verhoeven, Sister Act. Yes.
Verhoeven seems to capture the zeitgeist almost accidentally at times. You know what I mean? Like privatization is something obviously going on at the same time that RoboCop came out, but like he had just gotten to the country 2 years before and wasn't necessarily on that whole side of it, right? Like he wasn't engaged with politics in the United States as much. So like when he wrote, well, he co-wrote RoboCop, right? Like it's something like it just happened to capture that zeitgeist. Same thing with Starship Troopers. You know what I mean? Like 9/11 happened a couple years later, and then like that militarization of propaganda became like put into full gear. But he seems to have captured that zeitgeist a few years before it happened, which is why the movie flopped, because everyone's like, "What are you satirizing here?" And then 2 years later, everyone's like, "Oh,
you're satirizing that. Oh, we get it now. Yeah. Oh, my bad, y'all."
And Showgirls, no one had ever had sex before. The first couple people had sex, and they were like, "Oh, Verhoeven really captured something here."
Yeah.
It's just like Showgirls.
What? Do you know how many?
That's how you do it.
Do you know how many there's always stereotypes in adult film, and you know that they have a category dedicated to lesbian nuns.
Yeah.
Not like I've seen them, but whatever.
You watch them with your mom. I know. It's fine.
You researched them for this episode.
Yes, I did.
It's for research, Mom.
Yeah. I told her, I'm like, Mom, if you see a package that looks like a wooden dildo, it's for me.
It's for research.
My favorite one, of course, was the three nuns and the BBC Jesus, and like the big black Jesus coming in there, and I think they really subverted our ideas about religion here, because you see a lot of white Jesuses. That's my favorite nun porno movie. But anyway,
I remember when Madonna came out with Like a Prayer, and it was so like such a big deal with burning crosses and like black Jesus, and I'm like, and they say our generation's so sensitive.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that was also the moral panic, like the quote unquote moral majority, which was neither. That all the theists that like really like wanted to oppress everything, right? And it's weird. I didn't grow up. I not only didn't grow up religious, I didn't really grow up with dogma of religion at all, and so like that all seemed very fascinating to me. And it almost as if it was happening to like someone else or something along those lines, because it's like I just looked at it like an archaeologist or something. But it's still a thing. It's still it's just that they're in power now and like passing, all the laws and
Yeah.
rendering all the judgments through the Supreme Court, and they've basically fundamentally gotten their way. So you don't hear about it as much.
Yeah, how much do they want? Because my governor Henry McMaster passed an anti-trans youth athlete bill, and I'm like, there is not a single solitary trans youth athlete in the state of South Carolina. Name one.
Well, it doesn't matter. But yeah, exactly. But that is irrelevant.
But there's that swimmer. We don't want more swimmers to become trans.
Yeah,
it's in the water.
It'll spread.
It's a pool of estrogen.
but the point is like sending the signal, sending the smoke signal out. It's like it's just like how for many decades like they didn't actually care about banning abortion. They wanted to get the people that wanted to ban abortion worked up so that they would vote and that they would donate and they would consolidate their power base. The actual accomplishment of the goal was almost irrelevant to a certain degree. Now, granted, there are always like the true believers, like the dominionists, the theists, et cetera, but like for the longest time, that was just another cudgel to be used. And that's not new. I mean, that's something that had been around, for centuries. And one of the things I like most about this, believe it or not, is not the non-lesbianism, which is great, but the idea of utilizing these religious structures and a very smart person turning that against itself. And and is a bit of a grift, yes, but does it land? Absolutely. And
I think that none over here.
Well, and to me that's like one of the more interesting things, because you see a lot of sort of like, hey y'all, wasn't the Catholic Church bad? What with the torture and all that, like and et cetera, and yeah, I'm here for those stories. I don't really believe any organized religion is like inherently good, but the Catholic Church is especially odious. That said, not in this way, right? I mean, like there's one of my favorite moments, my favorite flexes is, oh, Jesus didn't mention you.
Yeah,
like that's an incredible moment.
That's
like,
well, no, because first she leads with, I really need you to come to my, my abbess ceremony, and the daughter, which apparently you're allowed to have daughters in this, at this era, like they hadn't banned that yet. And so
right.
the daughter says like, oh, well, I'll just stay here. And she's like, good. Jesus didn't mention you. And that moment just bitch slap.
It's an incredible flex. I love it so much.
So I wanted to play, this is Verhoeven talking about, this is not directly a movie, but this is Verhoeven talking about his experience with religion. And this is during his New York Film Festival appearance. So I thought this was interesting after what you said, because I think some of it's kind of similar.
Not specifically about the film, but to talk a little bit about religion. We talked about this before. I know you do not come from a religious background, but you take religion very seriously. You're somebody who studied about the life of Jesus. You've written a book about Jesus. So can you tell us where your interest in religion came from? When did it start for you?
Well, it had to do with something when I was in my 20s, when I was in a sort kind of a crisis, and went to there was a woman that addressed me on the street, in fact, and saw that I was a little bit psychotic, you could say. Anyhow, she said, Jesus will help you. And so I went to the Pentecostal church for a couple of weeks, and then I found out that it was not true. It took me time to find out that, yes, when the pastor, the minister would say, thank you, Jesus, that you are with us. Yes, I felt that Jesus is there. But then I started to realize slowly that Jesus, or whatever I felt, was really provoked by the organ music, and that it was part of my own brain, and that there was basically no Jesus there. And in fact, it's impossible. In my opinion, of course, and that there are a lot of people feel that Jesus came back, but I think that is really impossible. Yeah.
Was there a particular...
there was a period that I was a believer, but it's really short, a couple of weeks, and but then later, of course, I started to realize that I didn't know anything about Jesus, and I was perhaps because of what happened there in the Pentecostal church, I started to be interested in the person Jesus. And then I start to read more and more. And I think about now I collected about 1,000 books about Jesus. So they're upstairs. They're not the things that you see behind me, but it's upstairs. And because, of course, the figure and what the teachings of Jesus are so important for, let's say, European and American culture, that has influenced us for thousands of years. In fact, 2,000 years, but nearly now. And I felt that was interesting and important to understand and why. But I wanted to know what did really Jesus do and what did he say? So my whole investigation about Jesus is about the historical Jesus. So I'm still buying books when there is something about Jesus that they invented or whatever. There's a new gospel or this. I mean, these things happen. We find a papyrus and then it's a new gospel or not, or it's a fraud or this. And yeah, I follow all that. And so I have an enormous respect for Jesus as a historical figure.
Which you should. As a historical figure, great. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And also, can I say one of my favorite depictions of Jesus Christ in this? He's kind of a badass.
Yeah, and he has a sword. He has a sword that he slices through people. And I mean, I love the scene. I love the scene where she goes into the trance, and then you first see Jesus with this flock, and he's just like majestically, his hair is like blowing in the wind, and he has all of his sheep behind him.
Yeah, it's real like action star Jesus moment.
Yeah. They had it at the end of the trailer. They had that scene.
Passion of the Christ. What? Oh no!
Right, exactly.
Better. Way better.
Yeah.
But can I say also,
he's pissed.
It reminds
I feel like
me
that's
of
the most
Jesus
Verhoeven
Christ
story.
Superstar meets like lesbian nun porn.
I feel like it's the most Verhoeven religious story ever, where he's like, I went and then within 2 weeks I had Jesus here. Like the way I can't necessarily do the Dutch accent, but like I just feel like I can't imagine anyone else telling a story like that. It's just like, but then he gets obsessed with Jesus and like collects 1,000 books. Like that's fascinating. Like,
well, see, so and I don't want to totally dominate the conversation after being off for a couple shows, but like I think that it's interesting to me that what I do. It's interesting to me that like he didn't really grow up religious either, because it really approached the subject matter as someone that was fascinated by it as historical, as history and as historical like figures and times within societal norms changing and things along those lines. That like it's almost like a forensic sort of level of examination of it, which makes it more interesting to me, because I think that like. I hate to say it, as someone without any religiosity, it's really clear to me when there's like these kinds of movies that, this director comes from a Catholic upbringing, and okay, cool, good, awesome, interesting, but there's always some kind of like ineffable thing to it that just, I don't know. It like comes off
Bill Maher kind of insufferability, I think is what you're looking for.
Not necessarily.
Like it's
a lot of times.
What is a Jesus that
well
but even Catholic directors,
not,
right?
Like
that
was a "What is a woman" joke.
I got it.
Yeah,
I acknowledged. But like I think that there's even so look at like The Exorcist or something, right? Like and actually I think Exorcist 3 is incredible, by the way.
Oh yeah, better than 2.
Yeah, we don't speak of 2.
But like 2.
Of course you did. That's like down the line in Andy film, I feel.
It's beautiful to look at, so let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, and it's a shame about the rest of it. And then also like I like the idea of just being like everyone got to be in the 9th configuration as well, but that's a different conversation. But like the type of Catholicism displayed like within The Exorcist, it's completely different than like Verhoeven's Catholicism, where it's sort of just like, look at this like casual cruelty and accumulation of power that's happening, and like how the power dynamics can get flipped on in and of themselves. And he's kind of interested in material as like allegory. Like I watched The Northman last night, and I liked it, and it was good. And I've evaded all of the controversy, which I guess is a bunch of people that are like, I love that documentary, The Northman. That was great. I want to be like that. And then other people be like, why aren't there more people of color? And it's like, do you know what this movie is about? It's Vikings, man. Like, it's like the whitest white people that ever whited. But but for me, I loved it because it basically might as well have been sci-fi, because it's so far removed from our daily lives, right? And like introducing elements of like Nordic mythology and stuff like that, and things along those lines really worked. And in that way, I feel like Verhoeven sort of just like looking at like this dominance of the Catholic Church and like the plague and whatnot, and approaching it like Alien or something along those lines. And I love that. I think that's great because there's such a pervasive element of religiosity that even when it's satirized or it's like treated sardonically or something along those lines, it's still ubiquitous and still like a dominant cultural paradigm. So to have it treated like, oh no, here's some weird stuff that these people believed, and check this out, it's crazy. Also check it out.
Well, I
Virgin Mary as the dildo.
I think that when you're looking at the Catholic Church from an outsider perspective, and like I was Catholic when I was little, like when I was younger, but we left the Catholic Church really early, and my mom's like family was pretty intensely Roman Catholic, and you start looking at it as an outsider from like a political perspective. You know what I mean? Right. Like, which is why people like Martin Luther, and Calvin, like people that left that started these Protestant religions, got upset because it was a political institution more than it was a religious institution, right? Like, you could buy fucking you could buy like your way to heaven or whatever. Like,
we're Catholic. We believe in purgatory, and and even though I'm not religious, I believe that shit. Okay, I believe it.
Well, what's the thing where you buy your way in heaven? There's a name for that. I can't remember what that is. That's my favorite thing about it.
Bargaining.
Like, oh yeah,
but that's what pushed Martin Luther. That's what pushed Martin Luther into writing the 95.
Which is
the reason why we learn high German and not low German in high school, or is it the other way around? Either way, Martin Luther is the reason why you learn a certain type of German language in high school.
Indulgences. They called them indulgences.
We saw them at the same time. Both of our.
Yeah. Well, because I was fascinated.
They call it indulgences.
They call them indulgences, people.
Trump would fucking sell gold passes to heaven if he could.
He would love this movie too.
Oh, yeah. Of course he would.
Yeah, he would just fast forward through all the other parts that aren't done.
Yes. Right. He will probably go on Pornhub and look up like specifically the scenes.
But like, that's how we watched. Was it Kickboxer or whatever? Was he just fast forward all the talking parts, just watch the fight scene?
Yeah,
I like that Verhoeven isn't afraid to point out that this is not just political, but like a lot of the people involved in it don't really believe it, right? Like it's kind of just a bureaucracy, and you're like some rich guy, like a noble or something, and you're kind of buy your way into being.
It's just the power system. It's literally just the power system. Like the actual religion part of it is, for most of the people involved in it, like almost ancillary, whereas like, the poor folks, it's like literally all they have. And look back to like when there were those majestic churches and stuff, the whole idea was to invoke awe. So the only interesting architecture that wasn't like, flat Three Little Pigs style huts getting ready to be burned to the ground were these gigantic churches to invoke awe and also invoke donations and devotion, and not necessarily, to God as proxy, but as a power structure. And to have Paul Verhoeven sort of like looking at all this and sort of throwing it all out there, but almost as like the examination of an alien culture is perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And it hits different.
I also like that he doesn't assume that God is involved in this or not. Like you can kind of take away whichever, like, because you can read into this that she actually is visited by, like maybe not all powerful Jesus the way that the Catholics think of Jesus, but like you can read this movie as in there is a God. There is a Jesus. She's imbued with power somehow, and actually has going. Or this, she's delusional,
or she's
like,
possessed by a
delusional.
demon. You could make that argument too.
Sure.
It's open well enough to take what you want to believe. For which I think is the strongest point of it. Which is why that video I sent you of those Catholic Nazis outside the showing of the film, probably would get something out of the film.
You're trying to get him to
Pearl
play on
Baptist
here.
Church be like, let's go, people.
It's obviously much more satirical, but like much more satirical. But for like Preacher,
I think that's
similar. Like Preacher kind of does almost a similar thing where they're making fun of the institution, they're making fun, but like there is God in that, right? Like Jesse Custer actually does get the word, and God just happens to be like this petty, self-obsessed, like tyrant. You know what I mean? Like rather than
like Morgan Freeman.
He's not. I mean, he's definitely not Morgan Freeman. He's this. I forget. He's played by Mark something or another in the show.
It's crazy that I dipped out on that show because the comic series is like one of my favorite things of all time.
Yeah, this show does not hold a candle to what that comic series did.
The comic is so
I
much
love
better.
the comic, is
and the casting was good too on the show.
The casting was good, and and then I even like the idea that the first season is basically like a prequel almost. Like, I liked everything about it, and then I just stopped watching it.
I like the idea that Joseph Gilgan is that guy, like is that Cassidy character, like in real life, like he is an ex-heroin addict.
He's
like,
the perfect Cassidy.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. But anyway, but to go back to your point, I agree that like that is a scathing indictment of organized religion and the Catholic Church and so on.
But not in like a pushy, like it's in a way that actually
not a preachy way. Would you say it's not a preachy way?
But not in a way that feels like Bill Maher is lecturing you, like, isn't this stupid? Okay, like
you're an idiot if you believe this. Oh god,
everything is just so depraved in this universe, I think, and this movie as well. Like this movie does the same thing on a much smaller scale, right? Like God might very well have imbued her with power, but everything in this movie, including sexy on the cross, it's okay to see me naked, Jesus. It seems petty and disgruntled and cynical and like, but not in a way that really pushes your nose in it. Just in a way that like it creates this feeling around this whole universe. I think that Verhoeven's creating in this film.
Yeah,
like in a similar way, I think that Preacher does. With that like cynicism, but not like honest cynicism. I think, like, if that makes sense.
Charlie's gonna appear if you say cynicism one more time. Kristina, speaking of pushy, with a Catholic upbringing, like how do you feel about all that? Like, do you agree with any of those points?
Well, yeah, because my Catholic upbringing is basically my sister's the only one who did everything. Out of all the grandkids, there's like 9 of us. She's the only one who got like her communion, her whatever. She had everything. She did the whole thing. She's the only.
She got her little sandwich card stamped by the Pope.
Yeah, she's got her own like name and everything. But
here you go.
They tried putting me in CCD class, which is basically like what leads to getting your communion and whatnot. I didn't like it. I kept asking too many questions, guys. I kept asking them, like, if Adam and Eve have sons, then who did they have babies with? Like, I only stayed for VeggieTales and the candy at the end. But after a while,
oh man, yeah. What insidious propaganda that is, by the way. Like when I first like saw it, and like it was like on like the TV at the break room in my job. I'm like, what are you watching? And then I was like, yo, are these vegetables religious?
Yeah.
After like
a few months, I was like, I can't do this, and they're like, yeah, you can't do this. So they tried putting me in like one of those like more like Christian churches where there's like a folk band, they're singing and dancing, and I'm over here like having to fill in like things like excerpts from like the Bible or whatever, and I'm over here like about to fall asleep. I'm like, I'm sorry guys, like it was destined in my blood to not be a religious person. It just really was.
I can't stop thinking now about VeggieTales and imagining the broccoli being like, it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
But also too, like a lot of people don't understand that there's a difference between Jesus the person and Jesus the Christ.
Jesus the Christ. They call him the Christ. And let me tell you, folks.
People are talking about him more and more.
Mm-hmm.
He's on a cross. Jesus, just like me, persecuted.
But yeah, there's a lot of hypocrisies that go on within like being like Catholic.
Newsflash.
Yes. But like even.
Speaking of which.
like even my Uma was like, "Oh, I wasn't allowed to use birth because she was Catholic," and she was like, "I wasn't allowed to use birth control." I'm like, "Yeah, that's why you had 6 kids." But also, too, my mom was like, "Now, Kristina, that's just how things were back in the day." I'm like, "Yeah, but still, birth control existed back."
Well,
in,
it's the every sperm is sacred bit from Monty
Every
Python, right?
sperm is
Where you have there's like 25 kids that they do the whole dance with. By the way, why
sperm is
What's good is
it was pretty messed up about, by the way.
Quite irate.
It was pretty messed up of Terry Jones, by the way, to groom all those kids at the drag show. No.
Yeah, Texas is already implementing a bill to ban kids from attending drag shows, but nothing about mass shootings. And I'm like,
by the way, I wanted to make another Monty Python reference because there's a scene in this with the flagellators or whatever. Like I don't know that when they're walking through the thing and they're hitting themselves and it's like and it's played for comedy, right? Like it's like a quick thing. The same way that in Monty Python they have the boards, the guy, you know what I mean? Like the guys hitting themselves with the boards. They do a very similar thing where as the carriage approaches, you just see these guys flagellating themselves.
It's good. I remember that. It was good.
One other thing I want to talk about with the and I need to
now I'm feeling better.
but one more thing I wanted to talk about, right? Like this city Pescia is where it's located.
Interesting locale, and there's a history behind it, right?
Well, this is where the actual story took place of Benedetta. Like
I'm trying to set it up for you. Yes, I understand.
But no, I think it's fascinating that they kind of have the tourism element, like where they're talking about how the much better known city is Assisi, which is where St. Francis was from and got the
animals.
Yeah, and he had the stigmata. He had the stigmatism. No, he had the stigmata and
kick-ass ministry song, by the way.
But they have the bishop guy, right? Like the incredible. Well, he's not a bishop. He's I don't know what rank he is. The one guy's the nuncio or whatever. I don't remember what rank the guy who's like actually in the comment that's like the local person. But he's talking about how no one really ever knew about like he's bitching about this the whole movie, right? Like nobody knows about Pescia. Like the Pope like doesn't pay any attention to it. It's a city that nobody pays attention to. And then when she has the stigmata the first time, he's like, well, nobody knew about Assisi till St. Francis put it on the map. And I feel like that's such like a ruthless kind of comment about maybe not like capitalism, but like that tourist vibe to it almost. You know what I mean?
I think capitalism was kind of started by the Catholic Church, if you think about it. Because it was kind of the first way where like people could work their way up from middle management to become, the CEO, which is what everybody tells you capitalism is.
But like there's all these miracles going on at this time, right? Like the Catholic Church has like 1 billion fucking saints. And worst Matt Legasius book, by the way, 1 billion saints. But
also the worst Boondock Saints sequel.
Yes.
But so like the Catholic Church, because these miracles would happen, and then people would work their way up the ranks, probably a little money on the side or whatever, and they would get their
they call it an indulgence, folks.
Indulge in something. No, indulge in the pocketbooks.
Hey, am I right?
But like it's the whole thing's kind of fascinating, like this whole time period, because you have to you realize throughout the movie like these are very backwards people and the rabble kind of in the city more than anything, right? Like
nobody understands like what the plague even is, let alone how to get it, right? I mean there's not like education level is purposely low because again an uneducated and ignorant populace are easier to control. So like it's not in the Catholic Church's best interest to educate the people or to allow them resources to even educate themselves. Like you want a soft and compliant, worshipful flock.
Yeah. By the way, they don't even know how it's caught. Made me think, babe, it's okay. I used a condom. You can't get the plague that way.
I'm just thinking of the band Flock of Seagulls for some reason.
No, but but throughout the movie, right? Like as things get worse, as things worsen, as the plague really does show up in the city, it's interesting that like even the people that don't believe, like the most cynical NCO, I guess towards the end of it, not really, like like everyone kind of realized like, oh shit, like maybe there is a God, maybe he's mad, and like it's funny to see them revert to that like almost like tribal or primitive way of thinking, like almost immediately in this movie. You know what I mean? Like it goes from like, well, you know, the rabble might think this, like the people in the city that are just kind of congregating around the nunnery, but like, you know, we're like a little bit more cynical. Like even the Reverend Mother and the, you know what I mean, like nuns and the thing, like they're like, you know, that we don't really buy into this whole Jesus thing. It's like more of a political destination. And then the second things get bad, they're all like, God is mad at us. We did something. That's a comet. That's a comet.
Yeah.
It's putting bisexual lighting all over everything.
Yeah.
Who knew that's how God invented bisexual lighting was through comics?
Yeah. God
It
is.
doesn't even
God.
make any sense for the light. Like, I mean, I think it was a gorgeous scene, but the comet's bright red and everything gets the bisexual lighting over it from
the comet walked so Kristina could run.
Yeah.
Or actually, Kristina just permanently has a comet above her room.
Yeah, people don't know this.
Yeah, I did hear something, and I'm like, oh shit, is this it?
We're very into practical effects on this show, and we take it to an extreme example.
Yeah.
But I think Verhoeven co-wrote this, and like, which is amazing. Like he did a really good job.
Did he actually co-write it, or is it just he has a writer's credit because he went through?
No, he co-wrote it. I have a clip about Verhoeven writing.
Okay, no problem. I always ask that because I don't know for a fact. And sometimes
Verhoeven writes all of his own movies.
Yeah.
And it's interesting we talked about Action Jesus because Robot Jesus, like obviously in RoboCop, he was kind of making a robotic Jesus figure, right? Like to robotic Reagan Jesus, I guess almost. And it's funny that in this movie you have Action Jesus. Like, you know, next time he's gonna have casual Jesus, he's gonna come up and be all cool and be like, you know.
Did you guys? I'm not trying to pull an Andy here, but have you guys ever seen the movie Hamlet 2?
Yes,
it's on my to watch list. I have missed that because it
wait
came
a
out.
minute. You mean you never seen Rock Me, Sexy
Jesus? Yeah, it's a Steve Coogan vehicle. It's a comedy.
No, I know what it is. It's just
I think I thought as a kid
whenever my kids were real
Hamlet.
small, and it was just one of those movies I missed that I haven't caught back up on.
Oh, it's
Catherine Keener's in it. Amy Poehler.
Elizabeth Shue.
Elizabeth Shue is great in it. She's awesome.
Yeah,
it's really good. Like
it's got like half the cast of Spring Awakening, the musical, too.
Yeah,
so that's great.
It's pretty awesome. It has nothing to do with this film at all, but for some reason, the invocation of sexy Jesus started me down that road.
We had to do it.
Had to do it, folks.
All right, this is masked COVID Verhoeven talk.
Yeah.
Right? Shout out to Gabe's team is in Cannes right now, working on selling one of his films. So,
oh wow, nice.
Yeah,
get that money, Gabe and Co.
Well, somebody gave this book to me, a Dutch scriptwriter, in fact, and that I worked with a lot, and thought that it was a movie. So I read it, and I was so surprised what happened in the 17th century in 1625 in the city of Pescia in Italy, between two nuns in the Theatine convent. In an atmosphere of religion at that time, which would be the Roman Catholic religion, it would be unheard of that two women would have a sexual relationship. In fact, most men would say this is impossible. In fact, that's also a line in the movie. And a woman can never be attracted to a woman. Of course, it was expressing at that time that something that, like lesbianism, which word did not exist even at that time, was absolutely forbidden or just could not happen. And I think that was so intriguing if we see what happened in 1625, how our people, the Western European people, how they were thinking about a lesbian love story, and where we are now, isn't it? I mean, we are probably not completely there, but I think we have made a lot of progress. And I thought the differences between then and now was also a reason to do the movie. I thought it would be interesting to tell people this is how we looked at life at that period. So and then, of course, it was a really interesting story because that she went to trial. Of course, she was accused of having a lesbian relationship. So I think there was a plot, kind of, a certain narrative. Of course, the book is an academic book with hundreds of notes in the back, but it's not a really novel. It's not really a narrative. So we brought in the narrative. David Burke did that, and so based on many things that you will find in this book, we based the script. So that's why I did it, how I did it, and I think I'm very happy that it was possible. And the whole filming of the movie was extremely pleasant and wonderful and warm on every level. So it was a great production. And thank you again, Said, for getting this on the rails. So that's my position, and that's what I hope you will see in the movie.
I was thinking about that, how like it's an old school thing. It seems like how films are like based on like not necessarily a book, but like an idea of like a screenwriter finds out about a cool job and then creates a story about it or whatever. Or like gets a cool factoid and wants to do it. Because I was watching In the Line of Fire, and I'm just like, this is kind of an old-fashioned movie, because they don't make movies quite like this anymore, where they take like this, like, oh, what does a Secret Service agent do?
Yeah, what's that guy like?
Where and it's the same kind of idea of how Verhoeven got started with this one. Is he happened to read a book, because I mean as we kind of came up to age, it was all these insufferable, like everything, like nowadays it's just recycled of like movies that they saw, as opposed to like trying to explore an idea like this. So it's kind of a neat movie in that respect.
I would agree. How do you say the actress's name? Virginie?
I think it's
Vera?
Hold on.
Vera? I don't know. I know she's a French actress. I know that.
Lots of French actors and actresses in this one.
I mean, she's badass in this. This is the only thing I think I've seen her in that I'm aware of.
Why was I looking?
Apparently, I haven't seen it, but she was also in Elle, the last movie that Verhoeven did. The movie about
with that Isabelle Huppert. I didn't see that one.
Yeah, it's like there's no robots in it. It's not like a
yeah. Does anybody get shot in the nuts?
Well, I know, it's very familiar for like a lot of directors to work with like a lot of the same like actors and actresses, and this probably is the case.
Yeah, I mean, she's great. Like, I definitely like came away from being like, wow, like what other stuff she's been in? I'm like, oh, a whole bunch of stuff I haven't seen. Okay.
Yes, let's watch more of it, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in. Let's go.
Trying to find how to pronounce with a French.
I also I don't know if I've been invoked on this show or not, but that French TV show Call My Agent, I like that one quite a bit. And
this
pronouncenames.com.
Huh.
Okay. We'd like to welcome our new sponsor. Yeah. But I've learned a lot of French actors and actresses from watching that show.
Sounds like
I've learned a lot of French actors and actresses names that I did not know from watching that show.
Why are you asking me if you have the correct pronunciation? Aren't you supposed to be the one telling me?
Aren't you the authority here? Right? Get your shit together.
I mean, usually whenever I watch a French film, it's a weird action movie. So it's kind of nice to watch something that was French, where people aren't getting kicked in the head or something.
I mean, there's a little of that.
Yeah, there wasn't that much kung fu though. I mean,
yo, I bet that Jesus could do some kung fu. We just didn't see it.
It's probably in the deleted scenes.
Yeah, he's doing parkour with some robots.
Everybody was kung fu.
He flips over the tables at the in the temple or whatever. He flips over the fucking tables and then he jumps up and he's like, Shah!
Or he goes like
the whole John Wick scene.
How flips the table over.
Exactly.
He gets real sexy in this. Like when he's being kind of seduced by Jesus and he's on the cross and he's like, it's okay to dude with me. I don't feel any you don't have to feel any shame.
Oh god, now think of that one scene from The Exorcist.
He's got it tucked in too, or Maybe he's just androgynous too. I mean, not that I'm like pointing out such things.
Non-binary.
What am I? What am I? A
Yeah,
right-wing
totally.
Twitter personality? I'm not obsessed with genitalia.
They call him right wing. They call him non-binary Jesus. They them Jesus.
There you go. And also too, hey, Matt Walsh, we already figured out what a woman is. God is a woman. Ariana Grande already saw that. So
I thought Alanis Morissette did that first.
really though?
She was literally God in Dogma.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Which apparently you can't find online. Dogma doesn't exist online anymore. They took it off everywhere. Kevin Smith has a much less sophisticated vision of this grappling with faith, I think. I mean, I like that. I like Dogma, but like after watching this, it's like,
yeah.
Well, he had George Carlin as like the head priest or whatever, which was doubly hilarious. You know, like forgot about that. I watched that Carlin documentary, which is good, and like I forgot that was like a.
If only so many comedians who look up to him and say he's an inspiration would actually listen to what he said.
Yeah,
about punching down, especially, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and everything. Like people remember a few of the key bits, but like that guy was. Well, he got really like dark near the end, like Bill Hicks, where he just had a very bleak view of humanity.
He was like, "Fuck it."
But like even his daughter's not even getting him right. I don't know if you've checked her stuff out. She's like a psychologist, and after he passed away, she kind of started a podcast, and she's a bit like Jordan Peterson,
as one does.
She was on like Jimmy Dore's show, and she's like,
Dave.
I think Dave Rubin.
Hey, Emo Dragon.
Right. And just like,
I see you, Emo Dragon. What's up?
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
and by the way, not to Andy this conversation, but the Carlin documentary is very, very well worth watching if you get the chance. It's long; it's in 2 pieces, but I think that most people know kind of like the second, third of his career very well. But I find it. Yeah, of course, like the classic bits, right? But I liked, like he started off being a dude that like worked clean, and like then he like made this pivot towards like the counterculture humor, but then also like really just absolutely nihilistic, like there is no hope in humanity, like super cynical later stuff.
And he would call it religion too, all the time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he was like saying he like cheered for hurricanes because he wanted the death toll to be as high as possible because humanity was a pox upon the planet. It was like
he also said I was a Catholic.
Smith.
He said, I was a Catholic until I reached the age of reason, which is a line that I like a lot.
Oh, that's good. That's good. No, I mean, you forget, like, as culturally important as he is, it's easy to forget how fucking funny he was. And, like, always on the right side of history, even unfortunately with the sort of, humanity is a plague upon the planet stuff.
I've been watching his abortion stand up but we can watch maybe in the post. Like I don't know.
I'd be into that.
The after party. Wow. No, but so I've been watching his one on abortion a lot because he really hits the fucking nail on the head.
And that's like what like it's like in the 70s, right? I mean, it's like
no, I think it's later, but like
is it 80s?
I think it's the 90s.
He was always Anyway, whatever. Like this isn't about George Carlin, but like it's definitely like. I came away from that documentary being like, he might be underrated. You know what I mean?
He's amazing.
And so much of that happened before like any of us were even alive, right? But like it's like this is a dude that like really never stopped being relevant. It's just the culture kind of both.
It was in 1991.
1991. Okay. Yes, that's right. That's right. Of course.
You get our best fact checkers on it.
My favorite type of people are the rehabilitated Catholics of the world who are like, oh my God, I'm so glad I left Catholicism when I did. I'm like, I'm with you there, brother.
Well, my mom was raised Catholic and in a very strict Catholic family, and my grandma's incredibly like she said that she's gonna get my dog baptized. That's how fucking strictly Catholic she is. She was like,
"I'm dog away from her, please."
So maybe she wants to go swimming.
Just do that.
I don't know. My grandma's kind of like very, very conservative, very, very right wing and Catholic, and those things are intrinsically tied for her. My grandparents met at a Republican Party fundraiser, which I don't know how the fuck I ended up like this, but that was like their first. That was like their first date. I don't know, but
wait, that was their first. Wow. Hey, baby. If I got the
you
plate
like,
for us.
You like looking at these old white men?
Yeah. Do you like oppressing people and hoarding wealth? Boy, if I got the place.
Yes, they did. They did like those things. They do. Especially the hoarding wealth part. Anyway, they're not good at it, but like they attempt it.
By the way, was it 17th century? You know, not a great time to be a woman.
They did have guns.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys were familiar with this, but maybe not the best time to be a woman. So
never really though. Like it seems like we're still pretty backwards on that front.
Well, white women feel like they've been persecuted and they've gone through so much, and I'm over here like, bitch, Trump getting elected was not the worst thing to ever happen to women. Just stop.
No.
Take off the pussy hat. It's just stop.
By the way, the pussy hats were kind of cursed, like as a item, right? Like, because they were like, oh, if Trump's gonna say grab by the pussy, then I'm gonna wear this hat with a pussy on it. It's like, what if he just grabs that? What if he just grabs your hat right off your fucking head?
It's like the whole love Trump's hate thing.
I feel like liberals are almost horny for fear horny for Trump. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how people get turned on by something that they're like completely disgusted by? Like,
yeah, like Tucker Carlson every night.
Yeah.
Green
M&Ms. But yeah, so I have a clip that I wanted to watch.
Thank fuck.
This is they asked I don't know what the actress's name is. They asked the actress that played the daughter of the so they asked her about Verhoeven's feminism, and I think it's just because they wanted to, like, they ran out of questions by this point. The thing, they're like, your question is 17th century where women could be women. It's the girl boss century, really.
It really was.
Louise, an obvious question. Of course, for me, Paul Verhoeven has been a great feminist ever since the beginning, even if there are some bad interpretations, I think, of his films. I'd like to know what your view is as a woman. It's a beautiful film. So is it quite feminist as well, this film? Women are depicted in a complex way. The film is both subversive and sophisticated. Women aren't there just because you have to have some women in the film. What I love in Paul's films is that women are portrayed in all their complexity. And I think that women, that's what they have to really achieve increasingly. And this film is the embodiment of that approach to women. Everyone appears in one way or another to others, and things fall into place as time goes on. What's really important is that she is very obstinate, determined as to her fate, and the emotions are always there. So it's a huge success in this respect. Women are depicted in a complex way. They are both complex and entitled to experience their emotions to the hilt. Now, what about your experience? How is it working with Paul? And what's it like? What's he like as a director? He understands French, even if he doesn't speak it a great deal. Well, why is he pretending not to speak French this morning? Well, maybe that's just the way he is. Clotilde. I agree exactly with what Louise said. Feminism is very much there, thanks to Paul's approach and sensitivity. And there's an animal side to things in the film, and that is part and parcel of the human being in all his or her complexity. Working in a film by Paul, participating in this work is a huge opportunity. In his films, there is no viewpoint. Paul lets each viewer to adopt his or her own viewpoint as to what faith can be, lies, manipulation, working with Paul? Well, he's someone who's very silent. He gives us a storyboard every morning. He is someone who has his own vision. He's quite visionary. Nothing changes. He knows exactly what he has in his mind and what he hears. And we understand what he wants very quickly. He doesn't have to explain things in detail. Said Ben Said.
So some historical facts. Benedetta Carlini was born in 1590.
Benedetta.
Carlini. Born in 1590, died in 1661. So she actually, lived a decent amount of time. She lived into her 70s. When Bartolomea was giving testimony, she actually said that she was possessed by the spirit of a male demon known as Splenditello. Apparently, that was her.
How splendid!
I like to sweeten my tea with that. That's like my favorite official sweetener.
That's good.
It's limoncello mixed with Splenda. Splenditello.
Delicious.
My mom gets pissed every time I do a fake Italian accent because she says I'm just terrible.
What's a coming to go?
Why would you embarrass the family that way?
It's me,
Forrest, how could you embarrass the family this way?
But yeah, so she did have the stigmata in 1619.
Oh, she's got the stigmata.
Then in 1619 again, she had a heart exchange with the Splenditello angel. That was the first time the angel came around. Then she has a marriage with Christ. There's a whole bunch of different.
Hey, we're gonna do a bad Italian accent. Might as well go with the whole thing.
Yo, I loved the fucking 90s or the 80s Super Mario Brothers movie. It was creepy as fuck.
Oh my god, I forgot about it. I think I blocked it from my memory.
But yeah, so that's kind of the timeline of this, and it's going on at the same time as
that's the Mario Brothers movie.
It's going on at the same time as
they're practically the same movie. I mean,
it's going on at the same time as the Reformation in other places is beginning. So it kind of puts it in this thing where the Catholic Church is trying to keep their hold on all of their different provinces, I would say, or areas, right? Because religion is as much a currency as anything else, as this movie kind of teaches us.
Yeah. I mean, it's about acquiring and maintaining power more than anything else. Like the religion is just a delivery system for that, and that's, I know I've said that before, but I mean, it bears being said again and again and again, because first of all organized religion does it. It's just the Catholic Church did it earlier than a lot of them, and to a certain degree, I guess you could say did it quote unquote best. But I mean, that's what it's all about. And have a million movies about it. It's worth mentioning, and it's
Italiaphobia. It's actually Cuomophobia. That's
exactly.
You call me Fredo. You call me Fredo.
I hate the liberals who
that's like calling me the N-word, bro. Dude, I don't know how the fuck quote like younger Cuomo, Fredo Cuomo. I don't know how he fucking survive. Like every video he was in, he was getting in somebody's face, like yelling at them in the way that a frat bro would, and it was the strangest.
Attacking.
You don't have to do shit to read these, do you? You just have to show up and yeah.
That guy's such a.
I might at some point my internet might give out because it's something to do with the service tonight.
Something to do with the anti-Italian humor that you're doing, yes.
The mafia actually just nuked my thing. No, I saw my thing fade out for a second, and I just wanted to warn everyone if I do fade out, it's the spirit inside of me that has been possessing me, because I gave myself to Jesus.
Bad internet.
Well,
Jesus,
don't worry.
Jesus me with shitty Wi-Fi. You think I'd have good Wi-Fi because it's Jesus, but I don't.
Where's your modem at? 'Cause I have mine hooked up
save the
to my
princess.
computer.
Well, the Cuomophobe thing is when we were on Give Them an Argument, Emma Vigeland was like, no, I'm a proud Cuomophobe. I think that they need to be kept.
Yeah, I hate the liberals who came up with the term Cuomosexual.
Yeah.
How do you like that now?
Yeah,
Well,
that
it was
ain't
that
well.
one.
Also,
There was that one,
to the women who
Randy
work
Rainbow
for
guy
Time's
that I
Up.
kept calling Rainbow Randolph when we did Death to Smoochie.
Good. It's good.
Rainbow Randolph. I just kept getting the two names confused.
Randy Rainbow?
Randy Rainbow and Rainbow Randolph was Robin Williams' character in Death to Smoochie.
Death to Smoochie.
So we were talking about, and I kept mixing the word, like the names up. But I think we're talking about a Verhoeven movie, right?
Yeah,
I would love to. Yes.
Would this be a good Pride movie?
That's a good question. I don't know if I'm qualified to answer it, but I mean, it
certainly not in this hat.
In any other hat, yes, but not in that hat. No,
well, the I in LGBTQIA, the I is for Italian.
Ah.
Yeah.
And here all this time I thought it was intersexed.
I don't know. You tell us, Kristina. What do you think?
I
Is Benedetta invited to Pride? That's the question. Is Benedetta invited to Pride?
Because she certainly wasn't invited to the mass at the end. If you saw the,
Hey.
you had to sit on the floor.
I mean, I think it does because I mean, like, next to like the lesbian nun situation, but I mean, it does answer like a lot of questions about like ask questions about like your sexuality and within religion and whatnot. Like, it's a sin, you gotta repress it all. But in my opinion, lesbian nuns, come to Pride. Come on.
No, you can shit right next to each other. It's great.
Well, so after my family left the Catholic Church, I became an Episcopal, where you can just be like gay or
and shit next to each other,
or a woman, or and get any kind of job. Get any kind of job in the clergy. Like, they don't discriminate on that. They were like the first American church not to. So then I like almost weaned off my first few years of being a Catholic by joining that one, and then becoming somewhere between agnostic and atheist. But
yeah, I mean, there's also what is it called, Unitarian, which is like the most progressive like religion.
Yeah, it's like all the religions, they Unitarians get weird. Went to a Unitarian church for a short while, and
they're way too like lefty for like it's almost like they're doing it for the sake of just doing it, and it's weird.
It's one thing to want to explore like concepts brought up from other religions. Like there's this great YouTube channel I follow, Religion for Breakfast, where he actually approaches various religions from around the world.
And invites him to breakfast.
No, but like really analyzes it.
You want some flapjacks? Tell me all about the snake handling.
but no, it's a great little show. I actually dig it because he also his expertise is on historical magic, like the actual like how magic was done like 2,000 years ago, which is awesome.
Where did the lighter fluid come from?
There's another religion that I'm trying to find the name of that it kind of just tries to combine all of the. It's not the unit. Like, there's another one that does that too. Oh, Baha'i. They have a new prophet, but they consider their prophet a successor to Muhammad, Jesus, Moses, Buddha, Zoroaster, Krishna, and Abraham, and they recognize all of those as the proto prophet.
I will not fuck with that.
So they were like, you know what? Like, we're gonna have a I can't pronounce it, but it was like Baha'i-Lua or something, and that
is it just like some guy? Is it some guy named Steve or something? Like, who's this new prophet?
This is Baha'i.
Oh, the guy's name is Baha'i. I'm assuming it's a guy.
Wait, Baha Man?
Yeah.
Who let the dogs out? Who?
Very important.
Who?
Hey, look, everybody knows the
which
hit.
of you many prophets that I recognize let the dogs out? Jesus, did you do it? Moses?
Everybody knows the hit. Most people don't remember the late career pivot towards forming their own religion. It was quite popular, actually.
Yes.
It seems
they worship the dog.
It seems like it was more of a combination, like seeing that because the guy's actually from Iran and ended up in the Ottoman Empire. It seems like the areas where the most sectarian tensions exist, right? Like, why not just like say, yeah, this all happened. Here's a new guy. I mean, we can all get around.
Yeah, we got this new guy. It's great.
It didn't work.
Go give us money.
Yo, what up? It's me, Baha'i.
We got this guy Super Mario. He'll solve all your problems. He like punches bricks and stuff. He's blessed by the Holy Trinity. What do you need?
Get a mushroom, you get big.
The holy trinity of Luigi, Mario, and
Princess
Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah, I was gonna go with the Princess. It's not Princess Buttercup. What's a princess's name?
Princess
Peach.
Princess Peach.
Yes.
All right.
He's gay, I think, too.
Somebody put something out that was from like an old Nintendo Power magazine, the same one, that we talked about with the last Under the Silver Lake, but that was from that. And they said that Donkey Kong was born in the UK, apparently, like that's where they gave his location as. So my thing is that his grandfather was Tory Kong, and he was an MP for like
He was actually cut out of Snatch as a main character.
Also, I will say that this is a feminist film. Like films like I Spit on Your Grave. They're very controversial, but still feminist film.
I mean, good for her. Like she again, like everybody's on the grift anyway. She managed to figure out. And also, I like the idea too that we talked about this, like whether it is. You could interpret it as it being religious, or you can interpret it as all being like in the minds of the beholder or whatnot. But like, it's never explicitly stated that it's a grift necessarily, any more so than any church is. It's just that like she's got it handled. She's for sure operating, even if it is a real thing. Right?
Well, her full name is Benedetta Greenwald Carlini. So.
Gamork.substack.com.
T-shirts coming soon.
No, I think it's kind of fascinating that they never explicitly say.
I like that. I mean, I think that's
you don't
that
see
makes
her
it a
cut
strong
her
movie.
own forehead either, right? Like it's implied that that's what happened, but
It's almost like gaslighting in a way.
Oh, 100%, right? But it's like seeing it kind of turned on its head that way.
It's comment lighting.
Like I love that. I love the fact that like, and she starts off kind of tentative at it, or at least seemingly tentative, and she basically just gets in there and does it even better than the people that came before. I personally, if I went to like opulent luxury from being like in like some crappy little like hovel, I'd probably knowing the times, I'd check for peoples. That's me, but I'm paranoid that way.
Yeah. Well, and this kind of landscape that they kind of put everything in, where it's this like one bit.
But she was also very much on it. Like, sorry to finish that point. She was also kind of like high in her own supply to a certain degree, right? She was very much believing in her own hype, so it makes sense that she wouldn't shake. I don't think that's a plot hole.
Don't believe in the hype. Don't
believe in the hype.
See Chuck D jump off the fucking top of the comments.
Yeah, exactly. Deleted scene.
Benedetta is a public enemy. Benedetta. But so a point I wanted to make that I wanted to hear what you guys had to say about. I wonder, like, so this is a movie that's supposed to take place in Italy, but that's where the city is, but it's taking place in France. Like, it's French actors, they're speaking French. And I wonder, like, and I think I've seen last night when I was watching through this, like Verhoeven talk about it a little bit, but like the French relationship with the Catholic Church is a hell of a lot different than the Italian relationship with the Catholic Church. Like, I've been listening to, I mean, I've said this like a million times, but I've been listening to Revolutions, right? Like, I've listened to like 8 of the seasons of Revolution so far. And they talk about the French Revolution.
You're going to throw us a kickback for all this free advertising they get, or what?
It's just sponsor our show.
But by the time, Mike Duncan, give us
break something off, would you? Thanks.
But it's very clear that the relationship between the Catholic Church and a lot of different places was incredibly strained. With the French, they didn't break away and create. I mean, like, there's like French Calvinists, which is how my town got settled in like the 1600s. But they escaped from France because they were being persecuted. But like, besides that, like, they stayed within the realm of the Catholic Church. But when the French Revolution came along, they were so like upset with the tithe system and with just these constant like corrupt hypocrisies going on, and the fact that like the king and the Pope would kind of together decide who like the bishops were, right? Like, there was no election process. Like, your priest would just kind of be appointed by the corrupt like French monarchy officials, and the Pope was all the way in Italy. Like, did really, so they would meet, they would talk about who like cardinals or something were, but they wouldn't talk about those details. And it ended up that like people were so upset with the church at that point that like during the French Revolution, they overturned the church. Like they did this thing called dechristianization, where in the worst parts of the French Revolution, like Robespierre on crack or whatever, like like they had people literally going through churches, smashing all of the ancient like images, like the ancient relics, like everything they could find, right? Like people would just go into the churches and just beat the shit out of them. And then the Thermidorian reaction happened, and they pulled it back, and kind of religion was allowed again, and like they never wanted to get to that level, because it was just like literally just gangs of kids running around just smashing every church they could find, and if the priest is still there, fucking the priest up too. And so that relationship, I think, is incredibly different than like if he had gone to Italy, where the Pope still is, and assumably, and Nazi Pope too. Apparently, I didn't know that he was still in the Vatican, but like I wonder. So the question that was pointing towards, I guess, was, do you think this movie could have been made in Italy, or do you think making it in France was a choice because of the subject matter? Theories on that.
Also, too, like the language, back then was kind of like, in Paris they spoke French, and Rome they spoke Italian, and in between was like this.
Apparently, Flava Flav is watching the show.
Nice.
Big fan, Flav. Big fan.
Flava Flav.
But like where they are, because it's northern Italy. I was like looking up where this town was.
Fuck them.
So they might be speaking.
My family's from southern Italy. We don't like each other. They're basically French.
Exactly. But yeah, the language would be basically like a hybrid between French and Italian, essentially. So it's not a surprise that they are speaking French in the film.
Escargot gabagool. Is that a thing? Is that
now.
I don't know. It should be.
And also it's this kind of like all these cities, like a minor city or a major city, is kind of populated by like peasants still. Like the entirety of like it started to fall away, I think, like a century later, but like feudalism was still very much alive at this point. And like the idea of like feudal lords, and like we're kind of going back to that right now, and it's kind of fucking terrifying. I think on Hulu, if I'm not mistaken, it was streaming, but I didn't want to watch it with ads.
I watched it on Hulu and I didn't see any ads.
Oh, yeah, same. So so it's kind of
our new sponsor, Hulu.
But like I think it's kind of fascinating that it's this kind of mass of peasants that haven't really thrown off their chains in any meaningful capacity, that are like, and plagues coming in, and it's a terrifying thing for the plague to like sweep your thing, right? Like I think about it sometimes when like when the permafrost freezes, they get like a little bit of bubonic plague that was like stuck in some ice or whatever, that was stuck in a dead animal or something. And it's terrifying to think like the bubbles like that they get on all over their body is just, I can't even imagine what that would be like. And I think we're kind of I think that we've kind of developed an immune system that wouldn't necessarily succumb to plague the same way, but like it's a horrifying fucking ailment.
Well, we got monkeypox, and I keep telling people, if you're vaccinated for smallpox, you're good. If not, oh well.
Yeah. Hey, you can't make me get these vaccines.
I mean, I think there's a certain mindset that, for sure, when we think of the great Italian directors, we think of them, they tend to be like open-minded and even like boundary pushing, but there is definitely a lot of cultural resonance and with the Catholic Church still, even now. So I think it would have been a lot harder to get it made in Italy.
Sacrilege.
And honestly, like, I mean, ever since the French New Wave, like, France has been like a very welcoming place towards like borderline heretical concepts and like, again, pushing the boundaries of what can and can't be filmed. And I usually use that as a goof to be like, oh, whatever, they'd be able to get away with this if it was French, right? That's like my thing that I say a lot. And it's true. It's also fucking true, because there's a lot of things where it's like, Whereas, oh, they didn't quite pull that off. It's like, oh, but they probably could have pulled it off if they were French, because there's a certain cultural cachet that comes from, whether or not the filmmaker themselves is French, any French production. And it's weird that like you just, oh yeah, it's like giving leeway to like, the racist grandma or something, where it's like, oh yeah, no, it's fine, they're French.
Yeah.
What? What's that?
I mean, it's sexual assault, but it's like French sexual assault. We don't handle that in the court. We don't have the capacity to really navigate that.
I mean, that's why what's his face thought he could get away with it last Tango in Paris.
Yeah.
No, there you go. Yeah.
But I think that
Marlon Brando. Yeah.
We talked about
this. The stands for Marlon Brando. Okay. Everybody, let's be clear.
When we talked about Showgirls,
Super Brando Bros.
Oh god, we're really talking about Showgirls.
Well, so when we talked about Showgirls, there was a clip of Verhoeven. I'm not talking. There was a clip of Verhoeven talking about like the puritanical morality within
he directed that film too.
Yeah. And Total Recall and Starship Troopers, and there's a marked difference between his French art house stuff and his American stuff.
Yeah, it's better.
Well, I think Starship Troopers is a masterpiece.
I think Starship Troopers is incredible, and I think Total Recall is incredible.
And RoboCop too.
Yeah.
We already established RoboCop's a fucking masterpiece. Do I need to keep saying it?
RoboCop is a cop movie. It's got everything you would want in a cop movie. Gratuitous violence.
Dude gets shot in the nuts. It's great.
I like the RoboCop part where it's the villain is Red Foreman from that 70s show. Yeah, like he's gonna put his foot in RoboCop's ass. You know what I mean? But I think so. We watched a clip of Verhoeven. I'm not trying to talk about Showgirls. He was talking about how the movie was perceived. Well, I guess I am technically for a second, but how the movie was perceived in America, right? He's like, we're very puritanical towards nudity. Like, we do not allow nudity in cinemas.
Violence, okay. Nudity, no way.
And that's something I want to talk about in the after party too. By the way, when it comes to ratings and nudity.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really.
Let's get naked in the after party.
So go if you're not a Patreon subscriber, get in on that action. You want to get in on that action, right? Yeah.
This is a topic that I think almost traumatized Verhoeven out of this country, because the reaction to Showgirls was so negative because of, I think, the sexuality, and people didn't get it, and people aren't like used to having like conversations about sex in that way, and it might have, but like, so it's kind of fascinating. I have one more clip to play before we go to the Letterboxd one-liners. It's been so long since we've done them. But this is a little bit of a long clip. This is him talking about blasphemy in France and Puritanism, and I thought it was an interesting thing because it's a marked contrast, I think, to what he was saying when he's doing his Showgirls retrospective, which is funny that Lincoln Center did a Showgirls retrospective.
Je sais plus où on est. Là, le jeune homme, levez-vous, merci, ça nous aidera. Bonjour.
Kyle Buchanan from the New York Times. His question is for Paul Verhoeven. Mr. Verhoeven, the audience at the press screening applauded the sex scene. In particular, I think the use of the Virgin Mary as a sexual aid. Can you talk about having the nerve to craft a sequence like that?
Oh, you're joking, is it?
No, they applauded.
I didn't think that there was any special reaction to this to the scene, basically, that you are referring to. Perhaps you saw that, but I didn't notice that. Well, yeah, sure, but what do you think is more important? Oh, okay, well, that's anyhow your choice, but I like the audience, you know. So. That sequence, which one is the Holy Virgin? Well, you saw the movie, isn't it?
I can provide you with a storyboard.
I had to basically what's there.
Who's that guy?
Il nous reste peu de temps, donc on va essayer.
We have very little time left. We'll avoid lengthy conversations.
This is Yanis Zambulakis from Athens, Greece. Congratulations to the film. I have a question to the two main actresses, Miss Efira and Miss Pataka. It has to do, but it's a general question. It doesn't really have to do with the movie. It has to do with the kind of hysteria and fear that I think the world in cinema has towards cinema nudity these last years. If you ever felt something like this, movie, of course, is an exception. But I think that this kind of nudity is something that belongs to the past, unfortunately. So I would like from you to comment on your thoughts about this hysteria, if you think that there is an hysteria and fear towards those kind of scenes. I hope I made myself clear.
Je peux répondre?
I'll give you an answer.
Moi, je pense que d'abord, c'est pas une hystérie très française.
I don't think it's particularly true of France, this hysteria. I haven't encountered it much. I don't think that's really the case in France. No. People are interested in sexuality. There aren't that many directors who know how to film it, but Paul Verhoeven, since the very beginning, is someone who has dealt with this major topic in an amazing way. Nudity, well, nudity is of no interest when it's not depicted in a beautiful way. That's not what Paul does. Everything was very joyful when we stripped off our clothes. Daphne, can you confirm that? Yes, everything was very joyful because it said so much. You forget you're naked, that there are these naked bodies.
Mais non, j'ai l'impression que même dans tous les...
I have the impression that even in Paul's other films, these scenes where people are nude or making love, well, they speak reams. Paul yesterday, who talked about Basic Instinct and the sex scene with Sharon Stone, which lasts for a very long time. It's not a love scene.
On attend quand est-ce qu'il va le massacrer avec le pic à glace.
You're just waiting to see when the guy is going to kill her with an ice pick. It's a scene that says something different. It's not just nudity. Of course, there is sensuality, but the scene conveys many more things than just that.
And don't forget, in general, people, when they have sex, they take their clothes off. So I'm stunned basically by the fact that we don't want to look at the reality of life. Why this puritanism has been introduced is, in my opinion, wrong.
Bonjour, Frédéric Rougeau, le Max Cinéma.
Wow. Okay, that got awkward.
It's also Giannis Varoufakis asking the question, which is, I didn't realize, I didn't remember that that's who was asking it. You know, the former economic chairman of Greece.
And movie buff.
Yeah,
that's quite the pivot. Yeah, okay.
I do like his answer though. He's like, people take off their clothes in order to have sex, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Well, what am I was reminding me of that Chappelle show skit where they did the wife swap, and Chappelle played both husbands.
He was the Greek minister of finance under when Syriza was in control of Greece, and he's kind of a leftist legend. It's kind of I'd assume he probably had a documentary that came out.
He was on This Is Revolution earlier this year, and
yeah, he was. They get some crazy guests on there, crazy big guests, but yeah. So it's kind of fascinating. It was him asking the question. Is all I'm saying. It's It's like hearing if someone was Cornell West here or something, and you're like, huh? This.
Well, for some people, it's like me being on this show, but whatever.
But yeah, any thoughts on nudity? And
we need more of it.
Yeah,
I'm for it. I'm generally for it. Yes.
I mean, women do full frontal. They wear the horseshoe thingamajig to cover up the bits. But why can't men do full frontal? Why not? I mean, Harvey Keitel did it in Bad Lieutenant, and it was fine.
I feel like I've seen
drugs.
I feel like I've seen a lot of movies recently where people were hanging brain. There was a lot of dong I've seen in recent movies. I think it's been more normalized. So,
but it should be more normalized. Although except for what's his name? Willem Dafoe's, because apparently that one's freaky.
I mean, I saw Titanic when I was like 3, but like when it first came out, and I saw Kate Winslet naked, I was like, oh.
A big reason why it isn't is because, you know, everyone's aiming for that like PG-13.
It's the MPAA. I mean, have you ever seen this movie is not yet rated? Like that documentary.
Yeah, it's a good film.
You know, it's gonna be like
Really
R or whatever, but also too because rated R movies are not bankable anymore. I'm like, oh wow.
Well, and
that's because the rated R movies suck. Is the problem? Like you know, they put out a bad movie and they're like, oh, nobody wants to go see a rated R movie. Like, well, maybe if you made a good rated R movie.
I only watch heckin' PG movies, and I don't care.
but the thing is, the ratings are completely arbitrary and meaningless, and have a lot to do with power structures more than anything else. And like they're a private group that is beholden to nobody, has completely opaque logic for everything that what they give ratings for. I mean, like look back to the whole NC-17 thing, right? That was a big thing for a while. They made this rating NC-17 basically to not say things are X-rated when they're meant to be X-rated. But what did even X-rating mean? And it was just a cop-out because what they wanted to do is they wanted to open up the process of what constitutes it. You know, how much dick does there have to be for it to be X-rated?
3 inches.
Right? Yeah.
We're doing the new inch rating system.
but in all seriousness, and the way they got out of opening up their process and explaining how they rate movies is to make an entirely new rating, which was the NC-17 rating, which has completely fallen out of favor. And this completely private enterprise continues to like dish out ratings based on criteria that nobody understands, that is not publicly known, that is not accountable to anybody or anything, and we still continue to abide by them.
Doctor Strange should have been rated R.
That's why
it really probably should have, and I liked it a lot. But it was like I was like, God damn, this is intense. Like if I saw this when I was a kid, I mean, I also saw RoboCop when I was a kid.
I had little kids were so excited to see me. They're like, Wanda, and then when they actually saw the movie came out, they were terrified. I made them cry.
How could you have done that? That's like
how dare you?
I just wanted to be with
like
Billy
last
and
night-
Tommy. I just
last
wanted to be
night,
with my boys.
Or
You
yesterday.
can't blame me.
That's like, dude, I guess like conservatives haven't grown up past that stage of their development, because there's like Matthew McConaughey spoke at the White House or whatever about gun control. And
But he has shotguns.
The multiple conservative like pundits or whatever were like, these are all the times Matthew McConaughey has had a gun in a movie, and it's like, that is a movie. That's not like half the time it's not even a fucking real gun. But so I don't think.
What do you think? He's Alec Baldwin?
Alec Baldwin and Matthew McConaughey hanging. I would listen to a podcast of them just going back and forth. So so what happened there? How'd that gun go off?
But getting back to the subject of like, you know, the nudity one, I honestly I expected it to be more from what I had heard of this, which was like sort of not like moral majority panic, but definitely like, oh, Verhoeven made a non-exploitation movie, and that really isn't what this is.
Not at
like
all.
This is, if anything, it's a scathing indictment of organized religion and power structure.
And it's actually deeply sophisticated, I think. Like
absolutely, and I was blown away because I was like, fine, I'll watch it, and then I was like, wow, that was really good. Like, why was this not in the conversation for anything for the Oscars? And I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question. But
because
like,
Pope has to approve every Oscar because you know, we have Biden in the White House now. We have Biden in the White House now, so it's the papal conspiracy.
Exactly.
People thought it was going to be JFK. It's not. It's Joe Biden.
Exactly.
We have popist. We have papal authority now vested in.
JFK had a lot of sex in the White House. Like,
all right. After party's coming up. Keep it in your pants, everybody. I'm just saying.
Wait, do you say the Pope has a lot of sex, or the?
No, I'm saying JFK.
JFK.
Oh yeah, so does the Pope.
Weird. Letterboxd liners, anyone?
The Pope can get it.
All right. Point of order. So what I like based upon the descriptions, what I heard, which was reductive and misleading. I expected this to be a completely different kind of movie, and it ended up like it was. Again, I'll use the Mulholland Drive as an example. There's like a really, like explicit but earned, like lesbian sex scene in Mulholland Drive, but it's not the point of the movie. And like, it's there for a reason. And it's and I feel like in that same way in Benedetta, like it's earned. Right. And it just happens to be part of like the tapestry of the story and the character. And again, it's not necessarily something just there to titillate, which is what I think of when I think of like exploitation films. Like, it's like, oh, this is just here for like, you know, this is just here for you to be horny to, or something along those lines. I thought it was much more interesting, and I thought it fit and served the script. And I think it's annoying that like I had to find that out on my own, rather than like have that be something that Verhoeven, who's a director that, like, whatever you think of Showgirls, and I certainly have my opinions, I feel like has earned the right to like have a little bit of trust and leeway, and to have none of that trust and leeway, and to have it just portrayed as like some stupid thing, like devoid of like value or insight, that's insulting. And like, just like how that question was insulting. Like, honestly, he handled it better than I would have. I would have beat down those fools. Are you kidding me? Like,
I saw a quote somewhere from Verhoeven where somebody asked him if all the nudity was necessary. And he goes, "It's a movie. Movies aren't necessary."
That's a great answer, by the way. It's totally true. Yeah,
a movie. I can't do. I want to learn how to do like a Dutch. The Dutch accent's so strange.
It is.
I just think of Mike Myers as Goldmember.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's what you
blunt in a pancake, bong in a blintz.
Right. We're almost to the freaking after party, people.
All right.
On.
One-liners. They're one. They have lines. Hunter Biden does them. Let's hear it from you.
Is that the new intro?
Yeah. The Hunter Biden one-liners.
Absolutely not. So Letterboxd is a place for film. It's a place where film lovers get to talk at, with, and to each other about the movies they love, the movies they didn't love, the movies they were strangely thirsty for, and everything in between. It's a bottom-up democracy. Everyone gets to have their say, not just the Siskel's and Eberts. And this, of course, is best expressed in the classic working under Tight 5 one-liner format. Short, sweet, to the point. These are the one-liners for Benedetta. Forrest, roll them. What if we kissed while taking side-by-side shits at the lesbian convent?
That's happening at Pride this year. Kink at Pride is happening.
Is that what kink at Pride? I've never fully understood. So it's lesbian nuns taking shit side by side. That's what
forever.
Pride
back and forth forever.
That's like battle shits in Harold and Kumar.
I just think I expected to be discussing that way more than we did, by the way. Like that was a scene where I was like, whoa, but it's also like, well, think about the times, right? It's like, all right, yeah.
But then he followed that up after like the bird shit on the guy's head. So
they also had the guy dancing, the fool on stage dancing, and he would fart into the fire and the flames would get really high. Like, I love that.
that was high entertainment back in the day.
Yeah. It's high entertainment now.
And then what's her name? The other nun, cut one like really loud before they were told to shush.
Yeah,
exactly. I've never been more turned on. Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. The movie.
There you go.
3 Gs. Not to be confused with the 2 Gs, which is Gamort Greenwald, of course.
Exactly. Not Substack.com. Jesus didn't mention you. The mother of all kiss-off lines.
The delivery to that, even though it's French and I don't speak French, you know what I mean? Like, the delivery to that is so fucking
good.
scornful.
Oh man, I love that so much. I lost it when I heard that. I just laughing my ass off. It's great.
I'd pull some shit like that if I was claiming that like God was speaking to me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What did God say? God said
Margaret.
you're a bitch. God said you're a bitch. He said he wished he didn't make you, and you're a bitch. So.
Benedetta is a bad bitch.
Not to be confused with the bitch that I just called whoever I was referring to.
I was gonna say you kind of yes anded and also sort of like sabotage this one, but that's
she's a bad bitch. Jesus. Clap hand emoji. Jesus. Clap hand emoji.
The real Jesus Christ superstar.
Well done in the background for this one, by the way.
Yeah. It's Jesus telling her to. There's no shame. There's no shame at Pride.
Go ahead. Yeah.
You could have put them sideways and had a different shot of Jesus.
This doesn't get everyone's a fucking critic.
If this doesn't get an Oscar nomination in the category Best Shit Joke in the opening scene of a historical drama, I'll send a particularly stern letter to the Academy.
Well, too late.
I hope they did.
It's yeah, I don't know. The Academy really, fucked up this year in a few ways, I think.
And in summation, you fucked up. Signed, Kraut Salad.
I think someone needs to slap the people of the Academy.
I volunteer Will Smith.
He slaps the whole Academy fucking board.
Exactly. My grandma really said, "Talk about a second coming."
Wow.
It was more than a second cut. There are 4 or 5 in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's right, Luke's grandma. Get your facts right.
That's the thing about lesbian nuns, they don't have to just climax once. They can climax over and over again because the Virgin Mary is imbued in them.
This goes absolutely all the way off. And to that I say, amen.
Amen.
I don't know if this one loaded correctly because it has a weird thing, but let's see. Nope, apparently not. So one of them will read in the after party.
Oh, okay. She is committed to the bit at a level few can attain. I agree about that.
True. Because who wants to stab themselves like that?
By the way, Conan, it's number 8 that didn't load correctly.
Okay.
If you're
playing at home.
I don't have those next to me, unfortunately, but yeah, we can do it later.
This one cracked me the fuck up when I read it last.
Half the movie. What is faith? What is God? Your body is your biggest enemy. The other half of the movie. With her bosom heaving for Christ, she breasted boobily to the nunnery and titted inside.
Reads like a fanfic.
You must, you must, with my bosom heaving for Christ, I must breasted boobily to the nunnery and titted inside.
Breasted boobily is the one that got me on that one, by the way.
I like the alliteration.
Sounds like something Trump would say.
I like the anal alliteration.
Those are the Letterboxd one-liners for Benedetta. Of course, you can follow the show on Letterboxd, which is this man right here, our fearless host, Forrest Miller. You can also follow me, Conan Neutron, on Letterboxd. I'm all over it. I'm actually starting to log stuff again. I wasn't for a while, so I'm back on my bullshit. Speaking of back on his bullshit, J. Andrew World is all over watching all the craziest movies you ever possibly could have thought of, and a bunch that you haven't. So follow him on Letterboxd as well.
Yeah, he's killing it more than you are right now.
I know. I look. Hey, I threw a 4-day festival. It takes a lot out of you. But yeah, and then of course I'm Kristina. I don't know if you're on there as well. I don't know if you're doing the Johnny Depp bit yet in full swing, but
I'm still doing it.
Okay, fair enough. So again, Letterboxd, place for film. Go get it. There's a list of all the episodes that at least I'm on, aka the ones that matter, that are on there. That if you want to catch up, you can go favorite that as well. Andrew World, please take it away.
All right. If you happen to be watching us right now on Twitch, and you can, please subscribe. If you have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe for free, and that helps us out. So please do that if you can. If you're watching us over on the YouTubes, like, subscribe, comment, hit that bell, and watch the video to the end. That actually really helps us out. Let's film fans find us who might not know we exist and know that they need us in their life. Which they
ring that bell like a Virgin Mary dildo. Thank you.
Yes,
a wooden one.
Yes,
I carved it just for you. It is a little rough.
If you don't like to look at us, you can.
That's the pitch. That's the pitch. That's it. Okay. All right.
Hey, we ugly radio, not the camera.
But we do have a audio version, so you can go watch that.
Yeah.
Go listen to that if you want, wherever your favorite podcasts are found,
or least favorite, I guess.
All of them, really. They let anyone in.
Like, yeah, you got to pay for podcasting. Oh,
podcasting. There's no bar for it anymore. Yeah, is that the full Is it the
No,
full
because
pitch?
we still have Patreon.
I think it's
yeah.
barely started, really.
Yeah, barely started here because we got a Patreon, and if you sign up with Patreon, you could after party forever.
After
After
party
party
forever.
Which tonight
After party forever.
I gotta remember what I said on it. I had a really good one tonight for our after
Something
party.
about dildos.
No, it wasn't a one about dildos. It had a hold on, wait, keep going and I'll read it.
But yeah, so if you want to support us and help us out, please sign up for our Patreon, and you can have access to all of our back catalog of after parties.
And we also we have folks on that are not on the main show too. Erica's coming on for the after party tonight, I think. If I remember correctly, I just messaged her about it. Hopefully she remembers. Yeah, there you look. If you think the main show is loose, boy,
I make it possible.
If you need more Kristina in your life, she has a Twitch.
And who amongst us does not?
And please go over there, subscribe to her Twitch, and you can also throw her some money at her Patreon.
Yeah. Also, too, when you subscribe, you get cute emails to my cat Frankie. He's literally the only reason why people subscribe.
They say just a bunch of random letters that he stepped on, like
cat-like typing detected.
It sounds like the beginning of Scatman. Is what I would.
The Scatman. This is definitely after party shit.
Yeah. Yes. But if you do want more Conan in your life, please check out his show Protonic Reversal, which you have coming on this week.
It's Jem from the band Dead from Australia, and of course, in the interim, since it's been a little bit since I've been on, Damon Shea from Don Caballero. He does not give a lot of interviews. That is up now in the regular feed, and seems to be doing numbers, as the kids say. So yeah, but Jem from Dead coming up this week. That should be a good one. It's creeping up to episode 300, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. So if you have some ideas, I guess let me know so I can ignore them and do something else entirely.
Me on. Just kidding.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
And if you want some good tunes, check out Dangerous Nomenclature, which is available on Bandcamp.
It is, and we're actually doing some tour dates in 2 weeks. So we're playing Indianapolis and Nashville and Louisville and Atlantiville.
Yes.
All right, so here's the after party one that I did. It's the Pride is a Mortal Sin after party, which is a line in the movie. Remember, she said,
yeah.
Pride is, and then I said it's Pride Month, and everyone is talking about it. Benedetta and Christian Walker disapprove.
Good,
yeah,
that's good.
But also, while you're helping Conan out, he has a Patreon as well. And
I do, and I don't mention it nearly enough. So thank you, Andy.
One of the things you can get when you sign up with it is episodes of Protonic Reversal early.
Yes. All of the words you just said are true.
Yes. And Forrest, you have a new show.
Yeah, so I'm doing we're recording the second episode tomorrow, I think, but not live or anything. It's a pre-recorded and audio only podcast, which I've actually never done before. But it's
and one of your co-hosts is supposed to be on this show and blew us off. So
yeah, so it's
I'm not gonna take it personally, but
it's a complicated moving pieces 4-person show, which is
sounds exhausting.
But it's Kenzo, Ravana, Gab, and I. And our first episode is up right now. It's called Red Flag, is the podcast. It's up on YouTube on Kenzo Shibata's channel. We are pretty fucking unhinged on it, and I'm excited to see where we go moving forward. We just kind of loosely pick some topics and riff on them. And I don't know. We ended up roasting Virgil Texas for 5 minutes because Gab dated him, and
yeah, I know that's what I was saying. I was like, oh, what?
So the bit was CIA Virgil Texas. He's been Epstein, he's been new, the CIA's run out of money after COVID, so they've had to hire Virgil Texas as their black book. I don't know. So that was the bit that I advertised the show with.
Well, there you have it, folks. Red Flag with Forrest Miller and some other people.
Yep.
And others. Kenzo, Ravana, both beloved feature guests of this show.
Yes.
Gab, who eventually might be on our show at the same time as me, but has never happened yet.
At some point.
It's a mystery.
I'll believe when I see it.
She's as missing as Virgil, Texas right now.
Hey.
I laughed way too many times today.
You all have had that happen before. You laugh a bunch of times that you feel like really hollow inside after, like, you're like, huh, I've been laughing at everything today. I don't know if that's the healthiest thing in the world.
Dude.
Should I be a little less thoughty about what I laughed at? I don't know. But
be a little less jocular, would you? Thank you in advance. Is that it, Andy?
I think that's it. I don't have anything else written down in my notes, so
that's enough.
Yeah,
it's a lot of books.
Good God,
we're busy. We're real busy.
Yes, there's no guests, so it's not like we can have them pitch anything.
We've held the same amount of people watching through all of that, though. So
that's good.
I'm as shocked as anybody.
Yeah. So going to
subscribe to Protoncoverse on YouTube. It's like 8 away from 1,000.
Yeah, and I've been trying to throw that out whenever it. Whenever you mention it, to be like, hey, can we get Conan over the line? Apparently the answer is yes, but incrementally.
Yes, but like over the course of years, apparently. I don't know. I'm like, it's a popular show. It's just like I only put it on YouTube like last year, right? So it's like I didn't put much effort into it.
We only support incremental Platonic
incremental change is the only change we can hope for, apparently.
We came, we saw, he subbed.
Pokemon, go to YouTube and subscribe.
Pokemon, go to the pod.
No, that was a real thing that happened, y'all.
Yeah, you had to. 2016 was something else.
She was the worst candidate that ever. Like, she's not good at this. Sometimes you see someone and they're like running, and you're like, this is clearly all you want, but like, this is a popularity contest, and you are not popular.
Yeah, you're just terrible at being popular and saying popular things.
Somehow Biden fucking made it over the finish line. Literally, every time a voter would challenge him like on something, he'd be like, well, then go vote for someone else then. Like the guy that he goes, now look, fat.
Yeah, I know. Amazing moment.
This is
to a certain degree, it made me like him more because I'm like, wow, this guy is just like doesn't get it at all. That's hilarious.
Like, the fat guy was getting booed by the audience, not Biden. Yeah. He was like, now look, and everyone was like, get out of here, fatty.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah,
this is clear after party material.
Yeah, so I'm going to say we should jump to the after party soon. So final thought.
Which is my new way of getting out of any conversation I'm not having a good time at. After party material.
Yeah, no, I know that.
We can't have too much fun here.
That's right. The enemy of fun.
Starting with Kristina, final thoughts. What do you think about Benedetta? I agree with you that this is a good LGBTQ movie. I think that part of it, at least. Like I was kind of before. I guess my last thing that I wanted to say is before I was kind of fascinated by the point that like nobody had ever heard of or nobody really knew that women could be attracted to each other. So they were all like, so it's like it's like a bunch of fucking right-wing podcasters or something talking when they're at the trial, and the guy's like, women attracted to each other? This can never happen. And he's like, clearly, something has happened here. Something that will change the world. It is unnatural. So I think that was a fascinating kind of part of the LGBTQ commentary on it.
Yeah. I thought this movie at first I was like, holy shit, they're doing what with that? Huh? But then I was like, oh, this film is not really just a smut film. It actually runs a little deep with calling out the hypocrisies within Catholicism. And I do still, and also too, like, it almost kind of mirrors like with what's going on with COVID and just, this feeling of isolation. And I do agree that it's a really, really good film to watch if you're bored one day and you just want to watch something fucking wild.
And you want to jerk off. I mean, it's a FAP Sunday. What can I? Oh, Benedetta. Oh my God, they're shitting. They did what? I'm kidding. It's a joke.
Those are my final thoughts. Oh wait,
sabotage like a submarine commander. Sorry, what was that, Kristina?
I said 8 out of 10 crucifixes.
Ah, there you go. Perfect.
That's the rating we're going for today.
All right.
All right, Conan, escargot, gabagool.
well, as my friend, as my fellow escargot gabagool folks say. No, I like that this is somehow a low-grade nun-exploitation film and a scathing indictment of the Catholic Church and about the power of belief. And it does all these things at the same time. I really enjoyed it. It was pretty intense. This is like a pretty intense movie for there's action in it, but like it's a lot of it's, head games action. And I think that's worthwhile, and it's smart.
The wheel or the sword, I don't know.
It's smart. I think it's very funny at moments too. It's horrific, and honestly, it was a damn fine watch. Like I the performances are great. The direction's awesome. I'm shocked it was not even remotely in the conversation for Zeitgeist for the Oscars over honestly far lesser pictures, including the one that won. And I think that's a shame, because I think this is a much more interesting movie than people assume it is. Like sometimes people, I think, just assume like, oh, I know what that's going to be. That's going to be that. And that isn't what this is. This is a much smarter film. And I hope it finds a larger audience, because I think that it's pretty inventive and really cool. And I think it's worth a watch. And I really dug it. So I'm glad we're talking about it, because I feel like we have a tendency to talk about older movies a lot. So when we can talk about movies,
we're doing two.
We're doing two. Yeah. One of my favorite, actually probably my favorite movie of this year, Everything Everywhere All at Once, is the next episode. I'm very excited for that as well. And I think that's a nice thing. That's a nice thing. And I think this is a great film, and it's amongst the pantheon of great films that Verhoeven has done. It's well worth a watch. And what if you think it's going to be something like kind of like lame but cool? No, it's just cool. It's just a cool movie.
And it's not Nuns and Cum Volume 2.
Yeah, if you're looking to jerk off, like whatever, I guess you could get it done.
I think the sex scenes of this were a lot more sexy, obviously, than fucking Showgirls. But like, no, it wasn't like overtly.
That's not hard.
Like, yeah, they were more sophisticated. I think it's not like you saw, it's not like you saw things fully going on, which might be traumatizing to see the Virgin Mary,
As in service of the story, and in service of the titular characters
and the wife,
like quest for power too. Some of it's about power, and I think that's we didn't even get into any of that, but it's a smart movie. It's good.
She kind of adopts a sex slave, but yeah.
Yeah, where's that website? Adoptasexslave.com. Yeah.
Well, no, she kind of does. Like she has her dad paid the convent to have her in there, because she's like feels something in her loins, and then kind of lords that over her in some fucking traumatizing ways, which I'm sure we'll talk about in the after party.
Which happened all the time, but the only thing that's different about it is that it's two women, right?
And the only thing that's different about it is these two women weren't related, and for that character. All right, maybe I shouldn't have brought that part of it up that coyly. So Andy, got some.
Yeah, no, it was. I love this movie. The whole fact that you had Schrodinger's Virgin Mary's crucifix dildo. Because if you're going to introduce the Virgin Mary statue in the first act, it has to become a dildo to go off in the third act.
It's the law.
Not Schrodinger, it's Chekhov's dildo.
Yes, Chekhov's dildo. Yeah.
Yeah, Chekhov's dildo. But
Chekhov's dildo.
Anyways,
move on.
But no, it was great, because every little piece of this, from the very beginning, giving you like, is she actually communing with God when the bird shit on the dude? Is that they set everything up right there. The first scene where they introduced the head nun there, the abbess, who also was the head nun on Dune, by the way.
The head nun, but not the nun that gave the head nun, but not the nun in the movie that gave head.
Correct. Yes.
I thought about that.
But yeah, no, she was in the.
That's who you're thinking about. Okay. All right.
Yeah, but no, she was
thinking about this the whole time.
Yeah, you didn't bring up Dune, and I'm bringing up Dune right now because she was in both films. She was.
I expected you to bring up Sister Act. I was shocked that I did, but anyway.
Yeah, no, but I brought up nude nuns with big guns.
Yeah, that I expected.
Yes, par for the course right there. but anyways, no. Like I said, everything's like set up beautifully in the first, like the first couple of scenes, and then they just go through and tell this great story with, honestly, I've kind of lost my train of thought here. But yeah, they set everything up nicely at the beginning. It goes through and like leaves things open. Like, is this Jesus that she's talking? Is this a act she's put on? Is this a demon that she's being possessed by? We don't know, but that's okay.
Yeah. Is it, is it just the grift? Is she just grifting? Because they be grifting out there.
But there's enough clues there for any one of those possibilities, which is the beautiful.
And it's
thing
open
about
to interpretation, which I think is powerful.
Yes, but still says something. It's not ambiguous into the message,
which we've done a lot of tonight, saying something. We're gonna be in the after party.
You want to hear us say more?
In about 10-15 minutes. I gotta go take my dog out for a walk. But my final thoughts are: have you looked upon the abyss Benedetta with lust? Between women, impossible.